Vividite vas text v8 mokni, do 500 symbolo AITAH for telling my boyfriend he's not the smartest person in the room? My boyfriend Dan is smart. He's got a degree in engineering, reads thick nonfiction books for fun, and once solved a Rubik's Cube behind his back just to prove a point. He's also exhausting. Every group conversation turns into a TED Talk. Someone mentions climate change? Dan recites CO2 statistics. A friend brings up a new movie? Dan critiques the screenwriting structure like he co-wrote the script. At first, it was impressive. But after 2 years together, it became a thing. People stopped inviting us to game nights. One of my friends called him Wikipedia with eyebrows. I still loved him, or thought I did, but I was tired. Then came the dinner. It was my best friend's birthday, and we were all gathered at a small Italian restaurant. 10 of us, all chatting, laughing. Dan was unusually quiet. I thought, maybe he's relaxed today. Then someone, bless her soul, brought up psychology. And it started. Dan launched into a monologue about Freud, Jung, dopamine receptors, brain scans. At first, people nodded. Then they glanced at their plates. My friend across the table mouthed, "Help." I touched Dan's arm and whispered, "Hey, maybe let others talk too." He gave me a weird look, like I'd asked him to bark like a dog. Later, in the car, he asked, "Did I embarrass you or something?" I hesitated. A little. It's just, you don't have to prove you're the smartest guy in the room all the time. Silence. Then he laughed. Because I am? I stared at him. No, I said, you're not. And even if you were, smart doesn't mean socially blind. He went quiet. Real quiet. We didn't speak for the rest of the drive. When we got home, he grabbed his keys and left. No explanation. I felt awful. Had I been too harsh? Should I have just let him rant about serotonin and be done with it? Then, a week later, he came back. No announcement. Just knocked on my door holding 2 coffees and a post-it note. It said, "The smartest people know when to shut up. I'm working on it." He didn't say sorry, he showed it. He started asking more questions, listening, even biting his tongue when someone brought up quantum physics. Not perfectly, but he tried. So, AITAH for saying he wasn't the smartest person in the room? Maybe in the moment. But sometimes the truth sounds harsh when no one said it before. And sometimes, hearing it is the smartest thing you can do.
AITAH for canceling a vacation because my friend invited someone I hate? This trip was supposed to be our escape. Me, my best friend Lily, and a rented cabin by the lake. No Wi-Fi, no drama, just wine, card games, and deep talks under the stars. We'd planned it for months. It was going to be our reset, especially for me. After a nasty breakup and a toxic job, I finally quit. I needed this trip the way some people need therapy. A week before we were supposed to leave, Lily texted, "Hey. So guess what? Maya's coming too." I stared at my phone like it had slapped me. Maya, my high school nemesis. The girl who spread rumors about me sleeping with a teacher. The girl who once said I looked like a worn-out Bratz doll. And oh yeah, the girl who dated the guy the first loved and sent me screenshots of them kissing, as a joke. Lily knew all of this. She had been there through the tears, the rage, the years of pretending to be over it. So I called her and said, "Why is Maya coming?" She said, "She just went through a rough breakup, and I thought it would be nice to include her. She's changed, you know." I said, "You invited her on our trip without asking me?" Lily responded, "You two need to move on eventually. What better place than a peaceful cabin to make peace?" I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was surreal. I told her calmly, "If she's going, I'm not." She got cold. "Seriously? You'd cancel everything because of a grudge?" I said, "No, I'm canceling because I was blindsided by my best friend. That hurts more than Maya ever did." We hung up. I didn't go. The cabin trip happened. I saw photos online. Maya in my spot on the dock. Maya wearing the hoodie I left at Lily's place. Maya holding a wine glass with Lily laughing beside her. I cried that night, not because I missed the trip, but because I realized the trip wasn't about healing. It was about replacing. Then, 2 weeks later, Lily texted. Just 2 words. "I'm sorry." She told me Maya got drunk the second night and told everyone about my old eating disorder, accidentally. then flirted with Lily's ex over text, then borrowed Lily's phone and posted on her Instagram, as a joke. Lily ended the trip early, drove home in silence, blocked Maya the next day. I replied, "I told you who she was. You just didn't believe me." She said, "I do now. So, AITAH for canceling my vacation?" Maybe to her, in the moment. But I've learned that protecting your peace sometimes means letting people learn lessons the hard way. And guess what? Next summer, I booked a solo trip, just me and the lake. And I didn't miss anyone.
AITAH for not giving my parents grandkids? My mom started dropping hints when I turned 27. You'd be such a great mother. I just want to hold a baby again before I get too old. You were such a calm child, your kids would be angels. At 30, the hints turned into conversations. At 33, they became pressure. And now, at 35, it's full-on disappointment. I just don't understand, my dad said last month. Why don't you want to continue the family line? The truth? I don't want kids. Not because I hate them. I love my niece. I adore my best friend's twins. I just don't want to be a mother. I like my quiet mornings. I like traveling spontaneously. I like my apartment just the way it is, fragile, quiet, full of breakable joy. I've said this to my parents more than once, but they don't hear, "I don't want kids." They hear, "I don't want to make you happy." Last week, we had dinner. Everything was fine until my mom asked, again, if I'd frozen my eggs just in case. I calmly said no. Then my dad sighed and said, "You know, when you were born, we gave up everything. We didn't travel, we didn't sleep, but we did it all for you." I took a breath, and I said, "I never asked for that. I'm grateful, but your sacrifices shouldn't be a debt I have to repay by replicating them." Silence. My mom started crying. My dad got up and cleared the plates, aggressively. I went home and cried too. Not out of guilt, but out of exhaustion. The next morning, my brother called. "Just give them a maybe. You don't have to mean it. Just stop breaking their hearts." That's when it hit me. They weren't heartbroken because I wouldn't give them grandkids. They were heartbroken because I wouldn't live a life they understood. They saw motherhood as inevitable, sacred, redemptive. I saw it as optional. Here's the twist, though. 3 days later, my mom sent me a package. Inside was a small photo album, all pictures of me growing up. On the first page was a handwritten note. "You don't owe us anything. You gave us the greatest gift already, you. We just had to remember that." I cried. Again. But this time it felt like release. So, AITAH for not giving my parents grandkids? Some might say yes. But love should never come with an asterisk. And for the first time in years, I felt loved for exactly who I was, not for who I could have created.
AITAH for asking my friend to pay me back after 6 months? It was supposed to be temporary. Back in January, my friend Ryan called me in a panic. He'd been laid off unexpectedly, rent was due, and his car broke down, all in the same week. I've known Ryan since college. We've shared couches, secrets, hangovers. When he asked to borrow $800, I didn't hesitate. I said, "Just pay me back when you can." He said, "Give me a couple months. Max." I didn't put it in writing. Didn't even mention interest. I trusted him. That was my mistake. 2 months passed. Nothing. 3 months. Still nothing. Meanwhile, Ryan was posting pictures from Vegas. New AirPods. A weekend at a cabin with his new girlfriend. At month 4, I gently asked, "Hey, any update on the loan?" He replied, "Yeah, soon. Don't worry." But I was worried. I'd just gotten hit with a dental bill. My rent went up. And yeah, I started resenting the guy the first used to call ride or die. Month 5. Silence. Month 6. I finally texted, more directly this time. "Hey, I really need the $800 back. Can you send at least part of it this week?" He read the message, didn't reply for 3 days. Then came the response, "Wow. I thought you weren't like that. I didn't realize this friendship came with a price tag." I stared at my phone like it had personally insulted my dignity. I replied, "No, you put a price on it when you asked for money. I just assumed paying it back was part of the deal." He left me on read. I vented to a mutual friend. She said, "Honestly, it's been long enough. You're not being unreasonable." Another friend said, you should have never lent it in the first place. But here's the twist. A week later, I got an envelope in the mail. No note, no return address, just $800 in cash. Folded tightly, neat, clean, exact. Ryan unfriended me on everything after that. No apology, no explanation, just silence. So, AITAH for asking for my money back after 6 months? Maybe to him. But here's what I learned. If someone gets angry at you for setting boundaries, it means they benefited from you not having any. Money didn't ruin our friendship. Lack of respect did. And I'd rather lose $800, or even a friend, than keep pretending everything's fine while I pay for someone else's comfort.
AITAH for showing up to my ex's wedding with my new partner? I wasn't even sure if the invite was real. It came in a pale blue envelope with gold trim, thick, fancy, like it belonged in a movie. My name, in calligraphy. A +1. Jacob and Rachel request the pleasure of your company. Jacob, my ex, my very recent ex. We dated for 3 years. Lived together for 1. Broke up 6 months ago. It was messy, sure, but supposedly mutual. He said he needed space to grow. Turns out space meant Rachel. A girl I thought was just his coworker. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I moved on, or at least tried. Met someone new. Evan. Kind, grounded, quietly funny. The opposite of Jacob, in all the right ways. So when that wedding invite came in the mail, Evan asked, are we actually going? I said, why not? He invited me. Let's give him the closure he apparently needs. Evan shrugged. You sure it's not about showing him you're doing better? I didn't answer. Because maybe it was. A little. We arrived fashionably late. The venue was gorgeous. Rooftop garden, fairy lights, string quartet playing Coldplay. I wore emerald green. Evan looked like a magazine ad. We turned heads. Then Jacob saw us. His smile froze. He walked toward us, all groomed and golden. Wow, he said, eyes flicking from my face to Evan's hand on my waist. Didn't expect you to come. I lifted my glass. You invited me. He looked at Evan. And you brought a +1. Also on the invite, I smiled. Then Rachel approached. I expected coldness. I expected tension. Instead, she smiled wide and said, you must be the ex. I've heard so much about you. Too much, probably. The ceremony was fine. The food was overpriced. Evan kept whispering snarky one-liners in my ear that made me snort into my wine. And then came the dance. The first dance. Then the family dance. Then the open floor. And Jacob came up to me. Alone. Just needed to say it, he said. You look amazing. And I didn't expect seeing you here would hurt this much. I blinked. You broke up with me. I know. I thought I'd be happier. Oof. I didn't answer. I just stepped away and took Evan's hand. We danced. Slowly. Comfortably. Like we'd been doing it forever. Later that night, I saw Jacob sitting alone at the edge of the dance floor. Rachel was talking to a friend. He looked distant, like someone who finally realized what he'd traded. So, AITAH for showing up to my ex's wedding with my new boyfriend? Maybe it was petty, but he gave me an invitation. And I gave him the truth. I didn't just move on. I moved better.